Hi, everybody. Michael here. I want to welcome you all to this PowerPoint presentation. Today, the presentation is on paradigms. So I'm going to be going over the meaning of a paradigm, and then get into the paradigm as how is it's related to nutrition and health, which is, of course, my favorite subject. So let's get on with it. I'm going to switch over to my PowerPoint, and I hope you enjoy. And it's educational, and most important for me is always that what I present makes sense to you. Okay. So the title of today's presentation is it time for a new health paradigm? And what is a paradigm? Well, a paradigm is a collection of beliefs, theories, assumptions, and ideas that lead to a worldview of how things are and create the framework from which we act every day. For an example of a paradigm could be, it's probably the most popular one, is the belief at one time in history that actually the sun revolved around the earth. And this belief was created or was thought up by an Egyptian called Ptolemy. That was the first century after Christ. And his theory stated that the sun traveled around the earth. Now, this was believed by the church and scientists of the time, and it lasted for close to 1400 years. And so that was a belief, and it went on for so long until Copernicus, who was a scientist and a mathematician and astronomer, he created the theory that it was the opposite, that it was actually the Earth traveled around the sun. And he saw this through eclipses and statistics that he came up with. The scientists of that time, they sort of thought about that, but it really wasn't that accepted, and especially church, because accepting that the Earth wasn't the center of the universe would be something quite important for them. So this went on, and then the next century, Galileo came up with the telescope, and that definitely changed things. You could actually see that it was the Earth that was traveling around the sun, and not vice versa. So that's a paradigm, and then the paradigm shift was with Copernicus and Galileo. And a paradigm shift is an important change that happens when the usual way of thinking about or doing something is replaced by a new and a different way. So I came up with this. I was looking at this. Buckminster Fuller. He was an engineer, and he was actually credited with the creation of the geodesic dome, which is used in many buildings now. And he came up with this quote, which is, in order to change an existing paradigm, you do not struggle to try and change the problematic one. You create a new model and make the old one obsolete. And that's exactly what happened when the Ptolemaic theory was changed with the discovery, with the telescope, and the discovery that it was actually the Earth that traveled around the sun. So they didn't work with Ptolemy's theory. It was just something new that happened, which was the telescope, and that was the new model that replaced the old model. So here we have the state of Western science and medicine. I divided this up into two parts. Actually, today's presentation is going to be on holism versus reductionism. And then I'm going to do a later video that's going to be part two, and that's germ theory versus terrain theory. So this is what a reductionist believes that you can understand the whole if you understand all of its component parts. A holist, on the other hand, believes that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. He doesn't believe that the whole is putting together the sum of the parts, but it's actually saying it's greater than the sum of the parts. And for me, that's probably the most important part of what I'm trying to get across. So an example of this is it's an old Indian fable. It's the fable of the elephant and the six blind people. They were given the opportunity to touch an elephant. They couldn't see the elephant, of course. They touched the elephant, and they were supposed to come up with, well, what is an elephant from what you feel? So the person that was on top of the elephant touched the ear and said, an elephant is a fan. And then the person who touched the tusk in the front, no, an elephant is a spear. And the person in the back, it's a rope touching the tail. And the person underneath touches the leg of the elephant, and no, it's a tree. So they all come up with this idea of what an elephant is. But in fact, none of them really describes what an elephant is. So a person who can see actually sees what an elephant is. And now you can ask the question, well, is an elephant the sum of the parts, the sum of the components, or is it greater than all of the components? And in my opinion, and what I see is it's greater, because, you can, no matter, even if you come up with the different parts, you cannot explain how an elephant gives birth, or it eats, or it feels emotions, it gets angry, it gets into fights. The study of the parts doesn't come up with the whole picture of what an elephant is. And then now there's quite a famous saying, you can't see the forest for the trees. And this basically, it's saying that, you can't, people focus too much on the details. And if you focus on the details, you're not seeing the whole picture. And again, you look at the trees, and you could say, oh, there's a tree, another tree over there. But it's really when you go back and you take a look and you look at this other thing, this other, image, which is a forest. Is a forest just trees put together? Or is there something about a forest that when you look at it, you get a feeling from it? You can appreciate it. It's more than just the sum of the trees. So that's what I was trying to get across. And now I just went a little bit further with this. And what is our relationship to planet Earth? Are we seeing planet Earth through a reductionist point of view or a holistic point of view? And to me, that's very important, because if you look at the reductionist point of view, okay, we have countries, we have continents, we have bodies of water, the clouds, the atmosphere. Those are the parts of the Earth. But are we missing something? We could also see that, we have animals on the Earth, just so many inhabitants of the Earth, other humans like us. They're all parts. But are we missing the whole picture, which is that the Earth is actually alive? It's sustaining all of the inhabitants on it. It's a living being. But I don't know if human beings are seeing that, because human beings are, in fact, I mean, if we could see the Earth as a living being, then we could see that the human being is only a part of it, just like other animals are parts of it. And maybe we're not looking at it the right way. maybe that's why we're not seeing how we have to become part of this earth and help to, you know, help in whatever way, which way we can to maintain the health of this earth. But that doesn't seem to be happening. As we, we could see that there are problems that in certain ways we're actually destroying the planet. So I thought that maybe we're not looking at it in a holistic point of view, but we're looking at it in a reductionist point of view. All right, now let's get to examples of reductionism in science and health. Okay, one thing, we have in the medical profession, we have doctors, we have specialists. That's what I'm really getting at. We have the scientific specialists. So let's say here we have an image of this little baby, crawling. And then we could say, okay, let's look at what this baby is made of. Let's look at the parts. So you have systems. You have the digestive system. Gastroenterologist will deal with the digestive system, and maybe cardiovascular system, which includes the heart and other parts, the arteries, etc. And then we have doctors who are looking at the organs. We have a lung specialist, heart specialist. I have a friend who actually he had problems with his eyes, and he went to see an eyelid specialist. So that's how specialized we can get. And then we get down to the scientists who study the cell and the molecule and the atom, and now the microbiome with the bacteria and the viruses and the pathogens, etc. So those are the parts. But again, going back to the example with the elephant, is the baby or the human being component? Can it be explained by components, by its parts, or is it greater than the sum of its parts? And to me, well, let's think of it. Can studying all these parts explain, why a baby smiles? Why a baby laughs and cries, why a baby goes through its different stages, why it has emotions. A baby loves, human beings love, we hate, we think, we feel. So I hope you're getting what you're understanding what I'm trying to get at, how holism really looks at, something more than just the sum of its parts. So here we are, we're looking at the, how they're breaking down, how reductionism theory is breaking down the whole into parts. So that's what, specialists do. So let's go now to the pharmaceutical drug industry. When I was younger, I remember I was traveling with a group with about 8 of us. We were traveling through Mexico, and we ended up in the state of Quintana Roo, where Cancun now is located. And this was a small town in the southern part of the state. It was called Xcalac. And Xcalac had no connection with any other cities or towns. There was no roads leading to Xcalac. So how did we reach it? Well, Chetumal, which is the capital of the state of Quintana Roo, it's right on the border of Belize. So there's the Bay of Chetumal. You would leave on a boat, a sailboat, and it took 8 hours to get through the bay and on to the other side in the Caribbean Ocean, and then finally get to Xcalac. So one of the problems, or one of the situations in Xcalac, was that there were no doctors there, because you didn't have any connection with the mainland. So there were no doctors, but there were herbalists there. You can call them shamans. That's another word they use for it. And they were in charge with the health of the population. So it so happens that we were there for approximately 4 months, and 2 of the people in the group one of them got not diabetes. They got malaria, and the other one got I forgot what it was, hepatitis. Okay. So those are pretty serious illnesses. So what happened? What did we do? Well, it so happened that the herbalist in the town, she was the one who would cure people. So it ended up that the two members of the group went and she concocted a tea made out of certain plant herbs. And the incredible thing was, within 2 weeks, both of them were completely cured of their malady. So what am I trying to get at? I'm trying to get at that uh, we knew from way back that the that plants, the herbs, were cures for different diseases. So the pharmaceutical industry decided that well, if we could find out what ingredients there are in the plants, maybe we could separate it out. We could and reproduce it in the laboratory, and that's what we did, and that's what gave birth to the pharmaceutical industry at the beginning of the 20th century. So, what is the result? The result is exactly what you see in this image. That these are all the side effects. I had an incident. I went to the dentist and I had a tooth pulled. It was about a couple of years ago, and he gave me an antibiotic because that's what you usually do. So I took the antibiotic. I didn't read any of the side effects. I decided, well, I'm going to do it, just do it. That was my mistake. So what happened is the next day I started feeling my tendons very tight, tendons in my legs. And I'm saying, what's going on here? And I at first I couldn't make the connection, but this was something so new that happened the next day. I decided to look it up under the drug on the internet, and lo and behold, it said that one of the side effects was the problems with the tendons. They tightened the tendons, and it could get to the point where they would actually snap the tendons. So, oh my God. And I called up the dentist, and he told me, well, I told him what happened, and I told him that I had read the side effect, and he said, it's never happened before. And for me, it was like, oh, okay, well, this time it did happen. It happened to me, and I just stopped taking. I didn't take any. I didn't want to take any other antibiotic, and I got through it fine. But was just an example of the different side effects. So and this is it's all because and then what happens is that you get a side effect, and the side effect could be obviously very very bad, So, and you sometimes if you watch TV, you see, they advertise a drug, and then you'll get a list of the side effects in small print on the bottom. And then you make a decision whether you want to take the drug or not. And you could also look it up on the internet. So that's a problem. So anyway, I just wanted to say this. So that's another example of, how, reductionism affects the health industry, and here it is with regards to pharmaceutical drugs. Okay, and then I just wanted to put this up there that most people don't know. The Journal American Medical Association comes out with these reports every so often, and the leading causes of death in the U.S. Number one is heart disease, and then you have cancers. Number two, heart disease kills, I think it's now over 700,000 a year in the U.S., cancer over 600,000. And drugs, even if they are properly prescribed, they kill 100,000, improperly prescribed 80,000. And this doesn't include the overdose that people get, to get on drugs. And this is over 200,000. And it puts it in third place. If you look up the list of leading causes of death in the U.S., you will not find drugs as the third leading cause of the death, and it wouldn't even be on the list there. They just don't want you to see that. So it may, affect whether or not you want to take a drug or not. So anyway, so I just wanted to, just put this up there. And finally, we're getting to another reductionist point of view and how it's affected the health industry. Supplements, and this is especially with nutrition. So here we have an apple, just a common apple. And if you look on the sides there, you'll see in a common apple, these are the minerals and these are the vitamins inside an apple. So, okay. Now you have a choice. Do you want to, take the mineral, the supplements, the vitamins and minerals, or, the other option is eating the apple. So to me, it's and one thing that's really important, sometimes if let's say you want to get vitamin E, okay, so instead of eating an apple, you take 2,000 milligrams or whatever, the vitamin E. So let's say you eat an apple in the morning, and you decide that you're getting a certain amount of vitamin E. At that moment in time, your body, which is it's a miracle, your body takes from the apple exactly what it needs in the moment you're swallowing the apple and it's being digested. So if you eat an apple in the morning, your body is going to take a certain amount of vitamin E, let's say. So let's say you eat an apple, another apple 2 hours later. Is your body going to use the same amount of vitamin E? Maybe the body doesn't need that amount of vitamin E at that moment. So, the body, that's why food is the perfect element for your body. Your body has been eating foods for millions of years. Well, the animals have been eating foods for millions of years. The human being has been eating foods for 200,000 years. Vitamins and minerals, supplements have come on the scene a few decades ago. So now they want you to substitute the foods for the vitamins. So what I was trying to say is that, the body knows what you need. When you take a vitamin, you don't know if the body's going to be using that much, the amount of vitamin, if you did the 2,000 grams or whatever you're taking at the moment you take it. So that's one of the important things to understand about how the body uses vitamins from foods. And the other thing is that in the 1990s, it was the vitamin mineral industry, the supplement industry was deregulated. So there is basically no control over they're putting into the vitamins. And now the pharmaceutical companies are in control of most of the vitamins that are being produced. So you don't know if you're actually getting the amount that's said on the bottle of the vitamin you're taking, and you don't know either if anything else is being put into the capsule that you're taking. So I think that's important information. So you have a choice now. What's the healthiest and what's the safest choice? Is it eating an apple or just taking the vitamins and the minerals? And I'm not even talking about taste. which tastes better? So that's another example of the whole food, which is the apple. So anyway, it's your choice. Then I wanted to put this up. So now, you go to the supermarket and you buy your food. So, and they all have these nutrition facts, the labels. So I'm looking at this and I'm just saying, why do we need to know all this? What purpose does it serve? Knowing that all the 25% of thiamine and pantothenic acid. It's like, I don't understand. Why do people really care about this? Do we really want to get into the depth of knowing everything that the food has? I can understand. I think it's a good idea to have labels. For example, you want to know, if there are any, ingredients in a food, or in a package that you really don't want to take. It could be preservatives, it could be excess sugars, fats, and salt. It could be colors, artificial coloring, things like that. I can understand that. But to me, it's like, you know, this is too much. I don't think, do we really need this? So anyway, I just wanted to put this up there as another example of how reductionism, to what extent it's gone. So anyway, so here we have this slide, the reductionism and our health. So this is the state. This is the state of our health, in the US and in the Western world. These are the killers. We have, farms, whatever you see here, and you can go down the list. We all know about it. The top two are cardiovascular disease, cancer, kill over 60% of the people, who die. And you go down the list here, and get to the final two, which is really happening over the last 2 years, diminishing life expectancy. It's hovering around 78. It's been going on like that for decades. Doesn't increase. It's now starting to go down. And then, we have, in fact, maybe the best technology in science and medicine. We have, the best trained doctors, probably. And we spend more money on healthcare than any other country in the world. And yet, if you look at the bottom one, we're not even rated. The U.S. is not rated among the healthiest countries in the world, not even in the top 30. So, what is that all about? What do you think about reductionism now? So anyway, here's some familiar reductionist statements. We've heard since we were young children, calcium grows strong bones. Vitamin A is necessary for good eyesight. That's why you're told to eat carrots. Count your calories to lose weight. Vitamin E is a cancer-fighting antioxidant. Yes, sure it is, but you get antioxidants, tons of them. They all come from the plants. Carbohydrates cause obesity. Yes, they cause obesity, if you're eating the bad carbohydrates, but you really need to eat, if you eat good carbohydrates, that's a different story, because we need good carbohydrates, because carbohydrates are energy for us. Carbohydrates is the source of the greatest nutrition we could get. I eat tons of carbohydrates every day, and I'm thin. So, we got to rethink this thing. But again, with this reductionist philosophy, and also animal protein is the best protein, which we know now that that's not true, especially with all these athletes that are coming out, elite athletes who are, eating plant-based. So anyway, to get down to, so holistic health professionals believe in the natural and innate healing powers of the human body. Their goal is to help people achieve optimal health so that their bodies can prevent and reverse chronic diseases and premature health. So that's what holistic health professionals believe. And holistic medicine was being taught in universities until the end of the 1800s. Until the end of the 1800s. And we had holistic medicine. They were using herbs. There was no drugs at that time. There was naturopath medicine. There was osteopaths and herbalists. That's what the doctors were doing, and until eventually the drugs came upon the scene. So they were holistic professionals. And if you go back really in time, and this is really ironic that we have, Hippocrates. Hippocrates is considered the father of modern medicine. I use him in different videos because he's, I really like what he has done for, medicine and nutrition. So he was holistic. He existed, 2,500 years ago, and he was holistic. And it's funny that the doctors now, interns, take the Hippocratic Oath, yet they're not holistic, where he was holistic. And here's one of his famous statements: "It is more important to know what kind of a person has a disease than to know what kind of a disease a person has." So, I'm thinking about this, and you say, when was the last time you went to a doctor and he asked you all kinds of questions about what kind of a person you are? you know, do you exercise? What do you eat? What's your lifestyle you have? Just to see, get some background on you instead of, just focusing on your symptoms, your disease that you may have. So that was Hippocrates, came up with that. So my question is, what do you do? What are you going to do? Holistic, reductionist? Uh, it's a question, and maybe it's time that we start thinking about making a change, But I don't believe that we're going to get the change very soon from our doctors, from our scientists, from our health professionals. I think we have to make the change ourselves individually, uh, if we see that that's what we want to do. And my suggestion to start off is whole food, plant based. It's changing our diet. Getting as close to whole foods as possible. Maybe it's not easy at first because I don't eat completely 100% whole foods, but making the change and start feeling the differences. And these are what the healthiest and longest living people on the planet eat. They have good lifestyles, but they're all plant-based, whole food plant-based. Nutrition is what they follow. And if you do that, then maybe you won't have to see that specialist so often, or take those drugs, with those side effects, and start eating whole foods. To me, would be a good way to start. So anyway, that basically finishes my presentation for today. I hope you enjoyed it and found it educational. And I'm going to do another video. The follow-up video is going to be on paradigm number 2, which we're going to be talking about germ theory versus the terrain theory of disease, which is it's very interesting. So I want to thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you very soon.